Hello, everyone. I have COVID again. I am not happy about it. It still sucks, although the fact that it's my second time going through it and I have more sense of what to expect means it sucks just a little bit less. But it means I'm self-quarantining again. And I want company. But I don't really want to expose any biological life forms to me right now. So I'm going to make a friend. I got this kit from a local yarn store. And it says it contains everything except the stuffing. So there's like 4 balls of yarn plus a small amount of yarn in 2 other colors. And a crochet hook and embroidery needle instructions. So if it's missing anything from this, I don't imagine it'd be too difficult for me to replace it because I have enough of a stash of my own that I can find a good substitute. But ooh, you hear that? Oh, now it's not making the noise, but I just heard something roll. Yeah, there we go. That sounds like the needle. Yeah, I'm going to attempt to make this mermaid. I'll have to think of a name for her. It kind of looks like Ariel with the color choices, like the orange hair and the purple bra and the green fins. Anyway. When it came to Disney movies, I loved The Little Mermaid. Although I actually loved the sequel to The Little Mermaid more with Melody. Because Ariel is going from water and trying to get to land. Her daughter is trying to get from land to the water. So we have the orange. These are kind of cute. You have green, the purple, the peach color. This is the gold, looks like, and this is the black. I'm guessing these are the instructions. This would make sense if these were the instructions. There are 4 different languages. Now, I do know that I have a series where I try it in multiple different languages. But I'm not going to do it for this one because I don't know if I have the mental bandwidth for that at the moment. Here we go. We found the English. So it looks like it's in German, English. I guess that's French. I don't know what that other language is. It's not Spanish though, which is really surprising. Usually when you get anything translated in a language from the United States, the first 3 that are going to come to mind are English, Spanish, and French. And even if they don't have French, they'll have Spanish, you know. Oh. This is another box. Okay. Ah. There's the tapestry needle and the hook. I'm very surprised the tapestry needle is plastic. In my experience, I'll use it, but in my experience, the plastic tapestry needles tend to fall apart. There comes a point where you pull the yarn too much, and then the eye breaks and they become useless. I pretty much exclusively use metal needles when it comes to the tapestry needles now. All right. So this is salmon, pastel pink, mauve, patina. That's what this is? Patina? Does it say it? on the yarn itself? Oh, no, it does not. Does it say what shade it is? Okay. Whew. It says the shade. Alright. That's good. Because if it didn't have either the shade number or the name on it, and then you had someone who was colorblind attempt to make this, it could have gone very poorly. I am not colorblind. But I do purposely keep an eye out for things that could potentially lead to that. There are so many things at work that rely on like red, green, different. Don't need to speak so fast. There are a lot of things at work that rely on the red, green difference in the colors. And it's like this is a terrible idea, you know that, guys, right? But still do it. They also have it with a slightly different tone. That's how they kind of get away with it. So it wants me to start with pastel pink. 6 double crochets. Double crochets into a magic ring. What? Wait, is this British? That would explain the language difference. That would explain the language choices if this were actually British. Yeah. Okay. Huh. They're using the British abbreviations. I don't know if you can see. I hope I'm not like shining it out on you here. But if I look at the picture of the mermaid, this is very clearly single crochet. This is not double crochet. If this was double crochet, the stitches would be a little bit taller. But then it's telling me DC, which in the United States, that would be the abbreviation for double crochet. Okay. I'm going to follow my gut here and just do single crochet. One, two, three. The fact that this could also come from Britain is entirely plausible because the yarn store that I got this from had yarn from all over the world. Oh, wait, screw it. It doesn't even have to be Britain. It could just be any European country. And they just include English as the first option because English is the colonizing language. And if it's like a European country, they're most likely going to use the British version of English rather than our bastardized American version. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Go to put a stitch marker there. It doesn't have a stitch marker. It doesn't say to use one, but I know what I'm like. Also doesn't have a row counter, but you don't technically need one for the kit, so. And then 2 into each stitch, so this is like increase, yeah. Okay. There we go. Back to normal. It's also really weird using a crochet hook that has a handle on it like this. Huh. Feels different than how I usually expect it to feel. My maternal grandmother would make her own, made her own crochet holder. She just took a piece of styrofoam, covered it with masking tape. I still have it. If she was alive, she wouldn't have survived longer than she did, but if she was alive now with the ergonomic crochet hooks, I bet you she would have a bunch of them. She was mostly just into making granny squares and making blankets with granny squares. I don't know if she would have been into... Well, she would have loved the product. I don't know whether she would have been into making them herself. Alright, so now... This looks like just a basic... This looks like just a basic pattern at this point. Yeah, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to switch to time lapse so that way you can see me go through this just a little bit faster, but you still get to watch me work. And we'll see how it goes from there. right, this is what we have so far, and pretty good. I mean, there were a couple things I realized. One, I mean, this is 100% cotton yarn, I think, and it feels so good. Even if cotton has a terrible habit of pilling, this doesn't seem to be pilling that much, which is nice. Even if it does have my nose itch a little bit. But I also realized that the pattern didn't say it, but there are two different ways that you can crochet in the round. There is the way that I think this pattern was expecting me to do it, which is like do one row, then do an extra like slip stitch, and then build up from there. Or you can just do what I do, which is crochet in spirals. So you don't necessarily do that one stitch and then just build it up row by row. It's just like, oh, it's continuous, which is why my coloring looks like that. Which I'm guessing is not what this was expecting me to do, but if this is where it's going to be where I'm expecting, because I think the front is either this way or this way, that's going to be under one of the arms. No one is really going to notice, except you guys, because I just told you about it. And I mean, other than that, I mean, the instructions have been relatively simple so far. I have found myself accidentally adding one or decreasing one where I shouldn't, but I could just easily change it up in the row, and it hasn't really carried down too far down. Like, I found it happening mostly in this green part right here. Now, I'm going to take a break for a moment, because while you just saw that time lapse over a couple minutes, I haven't actually checked the time yet, but I'm assuming that's over an hour in the time it took for me to make this. And I need food. So I'm going to go get food. And when I start on this next, it looks like the instructions are a little bit more complicated. So I don't think I'll necessarily start off with a time lapse, although I may go into a time lapse a little bit later on. We'll see how it goes. And oh yeah, also, like, I put my own marker here. I found the marker being like super slippery. I don't know if the yarn was too thin, comparatively speaking, or if there just wasn't enough friction, but it kept falling off. So annoying, but at least I could easily find where my stitches were supposed to be, and I can't imagine anyone crocheting this and not having a marker and being able to keep track. I mean, that must be like a superhuman mind. Anyway, I'll be back. Okay, I'm back. So, I think reading through the instructions, I got a better sense of what's going on now. I've also been able to get food. I've been able to sleep. I've been able to take care of my human body. So I'm able to just spend another couple hours working on this. So, it looks like I can do a lot of the rest of this through another time lapse. But I'm going to explain what I'm going to do. So it looks like here, I fold it in half. I work through only the back loops. I crochet together, and then I do another loop thing again, which I still don't understand the point of that instruction, but hey, that's what it says to do. So, but then also, there's another instruction where it says using gold, work from where tail meets the back, and embroider V-stitches. So it's like put the scales on it. But this is how much gold I have. And it tells me to use the gold layer for the crown. And when it comes to assumptions, my assumption is it takes a lot more yarn to crochet than it does to sew. So if I'm going to use the yarn. I'm gonna do all the crocheting first. That way I can maneuver my sewing stuff to do that afterwards, as compared to just sewing it and then realizing I don't have enough for the crochet. Especially since when it comes to what's here, I don't necessarily have more gold yarn if I run out for the crown. But if I run out for like the feast stitches for the thing, I can just use another colored yarn. That's fine. And it looks like the black yarn is only to embroider a face. And also, the one thing it doesn't mention here is, I don't know if you can tell, but there's like little rougey spots on the mermaid. It doesn't tell me to do rouge or to buy rouge. I guess it's just assumed. Because I mean, I've been watching stuff and that's how it happens. Like, people literally put rouge on it and that literally makes it, that literally gives it the thing, but it also makes it not really washable. Because I assume that rouge comes off in the wash. Anyway, I'm going to go back to Timelapse land in order to keep on working on this. And because once I do this difficult step, the rest of it's relatively simple from what I can see. So to time-lapse land we go. Alright, there were a couple things that popped up. You may have noticed I discarded this in the middle. The good thing about working on a project that has multiple parts that you need to sew together is that when you get bored with one part, you could just easily move on to the next. Which with this, I actually ended up improvising a little bit on that last row because it wanted me to do I figured out it wanted me to do the bangs, and then it didn't want me to do them identical to each other for whatever reason, and the hair looks somewhat identical. So I did my own thing. And then, remember when I said that I was going to crochet before sewing to make sure there was enough yarn? There wasn't enough yarn for the crochet. I'm only on row 2 and I don't have enough for the second row, and it wants me to make a 6-row crown. If it truly gave me enough gold in order to get what I need to get done, I would have had a whole skein of the gold instead of just the little bit they tossed in. Meanwhile, I have a bunch of black that I haven't even touched yet, which is just going to be for sewing it together. So that's how that's going so far. The bikini didn't make much sense till I realized it only wanted me to work on one boob at a time. But once I figured that out, I was like, oh yeah, I'll just sew that onto the mermaid. It's all good. And then it actually wants me to make 2 of these as well. But I think at this point I'm going to conserve the video camera that I have, because I think I'm running pretty close on using up my storage, at least in this moment in time. So I'm going to pop back in when all the little parts have been combined together. I think I'll pop back in when it's time for me to retool the crown. I've reached the point where all I really need to do is re-engineer the crown, which I realized I actually don't have to take this out. So if I just ignore the fact that this crown doesn't have any spikes, which not really necessary, I can just seal this up, weave the end in down here, or weave whatever, and this is, oh my gosh. Did you just see what just happened? Alright, we're just going to weave that in before we cut it because something is seriously wrong with that. Oh my gosh. This is called we weave it in and hope nothing comes undone. So, I realized when I'm going to sew the crown on, I'd have an easier time if I sew it onto the hair before I sew the hair onto that. It has me sew on the face, and it has me, well, it wanted me to sew on, the fins. I realized while there's not enough gold yarn, there is enough purple yarn to do the V's, but I don't feel like it, so I'm not going to. Because, hey, I may not be the writer of the kit, but I'm the one who bought the kit, right? So I can decide what I want to do from the kit. Which is why her face is not as detailed as the kit would want me to make it, but... Which leads us to an important point. The kit says that it's for people 9 and up. You don't give it to anyone below the age of 3, which, understandable. I thought that below the age of 3 was just for the actual making of it, but no, it's actually just for the thing in general, which I'm guessing is probably because of this gold lame, and also from probably the rouge bit. They probably don't want some kids slobbering on it and putting the rouge on it because this person has rouge, even though the instructions never say anything about rouge, which comes to another important point of the instructions. They're missing several vital instructions here. They are missing the instructions to sew on the face. They are missing the instructions to stuff the arms, which it doesn't tell me to stuff the arms, but you look at the picture and that's a mermaid with stuffed arms. Yeah, it doesn't tell you to sew. It doesn't tell you to do anything with the black yarn, honestly. Not a single thing, which is strange considering it spends a whole part telling you to embroider the V-stitches into the tail. And it also gives you the whole set of instructions telling you to, like, sew on the, like, for sewing on the hair, too. Now that I'm, like, almost done making this, I would say that this is a set of instructions. Like, it says 9 and plus. I would not give this to a 9-year-old. There's this lovely instruction that says crocheted product needs to be checked by an adult before using. Am I not an adult? But seriously, I mean, I want to give this kit to a kid learning how to crochet. It's like, here, make this. Like, now that I've made this, like, maybe before I made it, but now that I've made it, I would not give this to a little kid learning how to crochet. I would give this to an adult who I understand, or a teenager who knows how to crochet very, very well. Someone who, when they see something goes wrong, they can troubleshoot it for themselves, and they're not necessarily just going to dump the project as, oh my gosh, I can't fix it. Someone who's a little bit more resourceful, you know. Because in order to get this done, you're going to need to be a little bit more resourceful. Since there's not enough gold to do what it wants you to do with the gold. There is more than enough black, honestly. And I mean, if I wanted to do the feast with the black, I could, but I don't feel like it. I feel that would take away too much from the green. I kind of just, the thing is with single crochet, with scales, you can actually just let the texture of the single crochet be the scales. It's close enough. It doesn't have that V look, but it's on enough of a pattern that you can just let it do it for you. All right. I think just one more go around maybe. There we go. I think that'll be good enough. When it comes to sewing things in general, I hate it, absolutely hate it when directions tell you to sew things after the fact. Like after you stuff the item and after you've closed it together. Like granted, the less I have to sew in a pattern, the better. Not because I don't know how to do it, but because I don't enjoy it as much as I enjoy crocheting. But if it's like, yeah, we're going to need to put a face on this, or like, yeah, we're going to need you to sew these things, I'd rather sew it while I still have access to the inside so I can hide all my knots and I know it's secure. Because there's a face on my mermaid right now. I'm not very confident in how secure it is because it was done after I sewed it together, after I stuffed it and didn't have access to the inside. Yeah. It's like all those TikToks you see of people making stuffed animals, and like it like on a related rant. It's like those TikToks you see of people making stuffed animals, and the stuffed animals already stuffed, and they just push the safety eyes in, and it's like, where's the other side? How are they going to be safe? They're not bolted in. Yeah. Like, it could be they just edited that part out in order to make it more entertaining for the TikTok, but it's like, I want to see that click. I want to see that I want to see the security to make sure that that safety eye goes all the way in and is like, if it's going in after it's stuffed, you're doing it wrong. You need to do your safety eyes before it's stuffed. Anyway, so that is now the hair. So I just got to sew the hair on now. And then I'll have a little mermaid. Also, I love how it just has like a for you thing. And it shows scissors for me to cut it out to put it inside this box. But clearly the mermaid is not going to fit in the box. Because the mermaid is stuffed and is now bigger than the box. And what is the point of putting the mermaid in the box if it can't close? It's not a basket. It doesn't have handles. I'm overthinking this, aren't I? Maybe, maybe not. I mean, I can't vouch for the other 3 languages that this is written in, but I can tell you for the English, it's missing some serious steps here. It's like, how did this get out of editing? Anyway, I'm just going to finish sewing this together, and then I'll show you off my finished mermaid. I finished the mermaid. There she is. Cutie, right? I would say that this is a solid B effort. Well, maybe 2 of the hair strands need to go more like that. Or maybe just 1 on that side. Definitely 2 on that side. I don't know. I want it to be more symmetrical. I guess I didn't sew it on symmetrical. Anyway, you can see I didn't sew on the detailing. There's a little crown on top. Here's a little skull cap. That part wasn't where I was expecting to be, but the hair hides it, so it doesn't really matter. And I was listening to a lot of music while doing this. Maybe a little bit too much Dolly Parton. So now her name's Jolene. And I would say, like, with the kit being a solid B effort, other than the issues I mentioned before with, like, the gold lame not being provided enough and, like, the missing instructions and whatnot, or, like, missing vital steps, most of this was well written. Like, obviously I ended up with very close to that. It's not exact, but it's very close, so I would say this is like a B effort. You can see my sewing is a little bit too close to that. The other part where I think this was really good was, I think the yarn was good quality. I don't think the instructions were good quality, but the yarn is relatively good quality. And the needle didn't break on me. I actually kind of like how it feels, this plastic needle, even though I know they're more prone to break. And this crochet hook was pretty nice to use. I also have a project in the future that I know is going to need this size. I hope I'm thinking crochet and not knitting in that regard. But if they hadn't provided that crochet hook, I would have grabbed this one, which is very close. Like, if I kind of line them up, you can barely see the difference between the two. But it's nice that they provide, like, the exact crochet hook. It provides, like, less room for error if you're going to get the gauge wrong. And other than the gold lame, I have plenty of the yarn left over for other projects. So yeah, I'm going to take Jolene to go watch some princess movie. Wait. That's not a princess movie. You see, I feel like watching either Tangled or Encanto, and Encanto's not a princess movie. Tangled is, though. I just don't know which one I'm watching first. I'm going to take her to watch one of those two movies. And that was today's entertainment. Have a nice day.